Greetings! In this video, we take a closer look at the environmental impact of the production and consumption of grains, a staple of our daily diet, on our personal health and that of our planet. Grains such as wheat, rice, corn, and barley can have a significant and multifaceted impact on the environment. Do you know why? Reasons can be attributed to the cultivation practices which imply the overexploitation of the soil, of the hydric resources, and of the pesticides. The processing methods which imply the use of mixed grains coming from different countries, and most of the time of low quality, and the packaging which imply the extensive use of plastic to pack the cereals, pasta, or rice. When we produce or consume grain products, we have to know that this has consequences on the environment as well on our health. Pollution is one of these, and it is caused by usage of pesticides and chemical fertilizers, water exploitation to irrigate plants, soil erosion, and the greenhouse gas emissions caused by the production and transportation phases of the product. These represented are the steps of the grain's production. This representation is useful to understand why it leads to environmental consequences. The first step is the soil preparation and the plowing. The second step is the field irrigation. The third step is the fertilization of the land. The fourth step is the harvest of the grains. The fifth step is the grain treatment and processing. The sixth step is the packaging for sale and distribution on the market, and the transportation of the final product. Being aware of health impacts is crucial. Plowing causes soil erosion and releases carbon, contributing to greenhouse gases. Irrigation may deplete water resources and use chemicals, leading to pollution. Grain treatment with pesticides can also pollute. Packaging generates waste and can cause microplastic pollution. Transportation emits greenhouse gases and pollutants. Please always take in mind these implications, which can have consequences for the health and the environment. Here are some sustainable alternatives to conventional grain cultivation and production practices to minimize environmental impact. Usage of natural fertilizers, such as compost manure and green manure, that can provide essential nutrients to crops without the environmental risks of using chemical fertilizers. Composting organic waste materials, such as crop residues, food scraps, and livestock manure. Rotation crops, which involves alternating the types of crops grown in a specific field over time, helping preventing soil depletion, reducing pest and disease pressure, and improving soil structure and fertility. Finally, water conservation, such as drip irrigation, mulching, and rainwater harvesting, help optimize water use efficiency, minimize water waste, and mitigate the environmental impact of irrigation on local water resources. Here are some global consequences of unsustainable grain production. Consequences on climate change, since it contributes to emissions, deforestation, and land changes. Consequences on biodiversity, since it reduces the resilience of the ecosystems. Consequences on water supply, since it depletes freshwater resources. Consequences on land degradation, since it reduces the soil's productivity and fertility. Social consequences such as food insecurities, such as hunger and malnutrition. Social inequities, since it affects marginalized communities and small farmers. To find a solution, it is important to shift towards sustainable agriculture, biodiversity conservation, and usage of recycled material for packaging. Here are some tips for reducing the environmental impact of grain consumption. Choose whole grains over refined local and seasonal options. Reduce waste, support sustainable brands. Prefer bulk or lightly packaged, control portions, try alternatives, grow your own compost scraps, promote sustainability. These actions can minimize grain consumption's environmental impact. Here are some takeaways to recap what discussed earlier. Pollution of the agri-food sector, particularly cereals, harms the environment, air, water, land, biodiversity, and human health. The main causes are attributable to intensive and inappropriate cultivation practices, pesticide and fertilizer use, soil erosion, and greenhouse gas emissions due to the industrial processing, as well as plastic packaging and transportation. So in conclusion, it's important to adopt sustainable practices such as crop rotation, intercropping, and organic farming implementing water-saving irrigation techniques, and encouraging responsible consumption habits.